Picture this. You've just passed your driving test. First time, clean sheet. You're absolutely buzzing. You call your mum, you text your mates, you ask if you can borrow the car for the weekend, and then when you get home, your instructor pulls you aside. Listen, he says, that's great, well done. But if you really want to be taken seriously on the roads, you need to do your Pass Plus. It's more advanced. It's what the serious drivers do. And honestly, without it, you're going to struggle. So you look into it. You spend the money. You do the extra training and you get your Pass Plus certificate. And then you drive home on the same roads and the same traffic with the same driving license as everybody else. Because getting your Pass Plus doesn't give you a different license. It never did. It gives you the same one, but with a bigger hole in your wallet and a few extra weeks of your life gone. Now, I'm not saying that you might not end up a slightly more experienced driver if you do the Pass Plus, but fundamentally, it's more cost effective and faster to get your license and then learn how the road really works. This is how more than 95% of drivers in the UK do it, and it works. But why am I telling you a story about driving? Because there's a very similar thing happening to the drone industry right now. It's causing confusion and it's costing drone pilots like you real money and time. I'm Matt Williams. I've been training drone pilots in the UK since 2014. And here's something I don't say lightly. I've written both our RPC Level 1 and RPC Level 2 courses. They're done. They're sitting here right now, ready to go. But I made a deliberate decision not to submit them to the CAA for the moment. Not because we can't, but because I'm not convinced it's the right move for most drone pilots right now. Now, I'm sure this decision will end up costing us some money, but it's a decision that I've made because I'd rather give you the right answer than a more lucrative one. So keep that in mind as we go throughout this video. If you've been looking at getting your commercial drone qualifications recently, you've probably ended up in a slightly confusing place. You were about to finally commit and book your GVC, then you saw something online, a training company's website, a post in a Facebook group, someone on a forum who sounded very sure of themselves, and the message was basically this. The GVC is the old way. The industry's moving on. If you want to be taken seriously, you need your Level 1. So now you're not sure whether to bother with the GVC at all, or maybe you've already got it and you're wondering whether you've now made a mistake. Here's what I want you to know before we go any further. You haven't made a mistake, and the people telling you that you have, a lot of them are selling you something. Here's the thing that nobody's saying clearly enough. Right now, as a drone pilot, the GVC and the Level 1 don't lead to different outcomes. They lead to the exact same place. And once you understand what that place actually is, the whole debate kind of falls apart. To fly commercially in the UK, in the vast majority of scenarios, you need what's called an operational authorisation from the CAA themselves. Think of the operational authorisation as your commercial drone licence. That's not what it is, but we just need to think about it like that for a moment to simplify things. It's what tells the world, and more importantly, the CAA, that you've got the knowledge and the skills to operate safely in this specific category. Most commercial operators work under something called a PDRA-01. That's the predefined risk assessment that covers the bread and butter of most commercial drone work, surveys, inspections, photography, filming, the stuff that most of you are doing or want to be doing. Now, to get to that operational authorisation, you need to prove to the CAA that you're competent. And the CAA publishes a list of what they call acceptable means of compliance, which is exactly what it sounds like. Here's what we'll accept as proof. That list currently includes the GVC and it includes the RPC Level 1, both of them right there on the same list, leading to the exact same destination. That's the Pass Plus moment that I was talking about at the start. The GVC is your standard driving test. Theory exam, practical flight assessment, done. You've got your license. It's what's been in place for years. It works, and there's no proof that doing anything different would make things safer or make for more competent operators. That makes the Level 1 right now, the Pass Plus, almost identical theory training, but with a minimum of 2 hours of practical flight training before you're allowed to take your practical exam. So it takes more time and costs more money, but it gets you exactly the same certificate and opportunities. Now look, there are some real differences between the two different routes, and I want to be straight with you about them. The GVC is built around a defined syllabus, theory exam, a practical flight test. You prove that you know the content and that you can fly to the required standard, you get your GVC and you can apply for your operational authorisation. The Level 1 is what the CAA are calling a competency-based assessment. This is why you're required to complete that 2 hours of structured flight training with a qualified instructor. The thinking behind it is sound. You're not just assessed at the end, you prove your competency throughout. Is that a bad thing? No. But here's my honest view. If the REEs are doing their jobs properly, the GVC already proves competency. That's the whole point of the process and the assessment. The new system just formalises the practical training element, but really, it's just a slightly different road to the same destination. One more thing worth mentioning, because you'll hear it used as a reason to go Level 1. The Level 1 is designed as a stepping stone towards something called SORA. That's the Specific Operations Risk Assessment Framework, which covers much more complex high-risk operations that sit outside of the PDRA-01. If you're doing genuinely complex, non-standard work, that pathway may matter to you eventually, which means that the RPC L1 is something that you're going to need to consider. But for the vast majority of you watching this, it doesn't change the maths. Now, remember what I said at the start. I've written the Level 1 and Level 2 courses myself. I know exactly what's in them, exactly how they're structured, and exactly what they lead to, because I've taken the time to build them. And I'm not selling it to you right now. When I look at what it actually gives most pilots at this stage compared to what it costs them in time and money, I can't justify pointing you towards it. That's not a sales pitch for the GVC. I'm just trying to be honest and transparent with you. The day we see a genuine practical advantage for the majority of pilots, we'll launch it. Until then, we're not in the business of charging you more to get to the same destination. Now, let's just pop back to that original driving test story for a second. The instructor who told you that you needed the Pass Plus to be taken seriously on the roads, they were the ones who were selling the Pass Plus courses. Funny that. Also, it's worth remembering that the GVC lasts for 5 years, and from experience watching the CAA managed qualification transitions, they do tend to move timelines backwards, not forwards. But even if the current timeline holds, the runway for the GVC is longer than the noise from some companies is suggesting right now. Most pilots at this point do one of two things. They make the call and get moving, or they keep researching, keep second guessing and delay getting qualified at all. The ones who procrastinate are the ones who are still on the fence when the work comes in and they're not ready for it. Just decide what you need, what's going to work for you, and get going. The CAA document is there. I've linked it in the video description down below. Both routes are on it. The evidence isn't hidden. It just requires someone to actually read it rather than repeat what they heard from someone selling the alternative. So, GVC or Level 1? Right now, for most pilots, the honest answer is the GVC. Not because the Level 1 is bad, but because right now it's the Pass Plus, and Pass Plus gets you exactly the same license. If you've got thoughts on this, whether you've been through the GVC or you're weighing up the Level 1 or which one to do, or someone's told you something different, please drop it down in the comments below. I read all of them, and I'd genuinely like to know what you're hearing out there. If you've got questions you'd like us to answer about drones or the regulations or the drone industry, drop those in the comments too. We'll add them to the list of videos to make, and the questions with the most likes is going to get bumped to the top of the production queue. Until next time, I've been Matt Williams. Fly safe and blue skies.